We've got sources of support if you need them, so some wellbeing sources of support that we're just going to briefly put up here, but you can access that at the bottom of the Kaimahi Hauora webpage there. So just before we go into this conversation with everyone here, we thought we'd like to share these. And thanks, Claire. I jumped ahead there. And so now we'll move into the campaign. So we've got 3 calls of action. They are investing in social services Kaimahi Hauora initiatives, and then looking at the practical commitments that we can implement this through commissioning, through contracting arrangements, and through pay equity for social service workers, and then co-developing a workforce plan for community-based and government social service workers. That has a core focus on Kaimahi Hauora. Sorry, and then now I'll jump into this. I got too excited because I loved this, what we got from conference. This was some of the feedback we got, certainly not all of it, but we pulled out some of the key points. So from that poll we ran, these are what you shared with us, and we have more of these listed in the call to action document. So we really found these beautiful and realistic and practical. So we thought we could just let you read some of those. Longer term, better funded contracts which enable longer term certainty. 12-month contracts is just nonsense. Thank you. Yep. And then also a commitment to traditional Hauora practices. These are all essentials. And look, we love this one here about employee assistance programs. Government employees have these. We should have it too in our sector. So we took all this information and we combined it onto the call to action document, which you can then read in your own time, and we will share those afterwards with you as well. Now, at the heart of this campaign are the direct stories and insights that some of our community-based social services Kaimahi shared with us. Now, they're first-hand real stories, and they emphasise how important a stronger focus on social services Kaimahi Hauora is, and brings forward a different range of perspectives. So these are not real names for these people. First story, I'm just going to briefly mention them. Sasha's story, it's not her real name. This is the story of a recent graduate. And what we've just got here is a couple of key pullouts from her story, which you can once again access on her page. And this is what she went through as a recent graduate within her work. And so how she felt at the time. It felt awful to think that her mistakes would impact the well-being of the family, and she really needed someone to talk to, but struggled to find that person and to have this work for her within her organisation. And then the bigger pull-out, now I ask myself how I can make myself easier and give myself a break. So it's telling her story and what she learned. The next story is from Caitlin, who has a bit more, shares a bit more about her life experiences and the challenges of that time and how that impacted within her work as a social worker. So she actually went through burnout. So she was working through how she did that within her organisation and for herself. And as we can all agree, in general, social services work can be tough. The mahi is complex. People have high needs, and we work in high-risk situations every day. Kaimahi need to be well within themselves to tautoko whānau effectively and safely. And the last story we share is now Poata he was happy to use his name, and he's a leader in an organisation, and what he's doing and trying to create a workplace where the well-being of social services Kaimahi is genuinely supported, respected and valued. And we just brought forward a couple of snippets from his story as well. So there's that practical aspect around investing in things like the ergonomic seating, stand-up, sit-down desks, things that do cost a bit, and we know we recognise that, but investment in people's Toi Ora, and he really believes in this, and then the explanation of what Toi Ora means to them in their organisation, the art of well-being, the intent of well-being, and the journey. You can visit those, and we'll share all the links afterwards. But really what we're here today is to hear from you. What Kaimahi Hauora looks like for you and your organisation. Have you started on your journey? But I'm going to pass over to Claire because she's going to lead this part of the conversation. So there you go.
So as Fiona said, this is all about our wonderful members and what Kaimahi Hauora already looks like for you inside your organisations, or perhaps something that you've changed or started, or that even from whakamanawa or other sources that you've learned to start to implement in regards to Kaimahi Hauora. So we'd just like to really open it up now, either use the raise hand function or chuck something in the chat, and we'll just have a little kōrero amongst ourselves, kōrero, to see what's going on out there in regards to Kaimahi Hauora. You saw a little example from us with Carly, Philip, Barbara, what we popped into whakamanawa, and to acknowledge that this is a part of our kaupapa at Te Paiora o Aotearoa that we would like to keep putting out there with the work that we do, and also embedding within our own team and our own practice. So, yeah, is there anyone who'd like to be kia maia, be brave and go first and let us know what's going on? Maggie, would love to hear from you. Thank you.
I guess for me, constantly, it's what are the workloads like? As a manager, I think that's the best thing I can do for our kaimahi's wellbeing. We do all the things, supervision, lots of opportunities to meet and socially, and taking care of people and their other well-being. I mean, I was interested just before about the standing desks and all those kind of things, which are well beyond the budget of many of our services, but recently I found some at a reasonable price and I've invested in those, and just always chipping away at trying to do a little better and a little better. But ultimately it all comes to custard if I try and expect staff to do ridiculous workloads, and that's what we see over and over again. So really that's my wero to management. Make sure you're being fair what you're asking.
Thanks, Maggie. And as we heard in Puata's story as a leader as well, there were some very specific things from a leadership perspective that are coming through that may be different at individual level for each kaimahi. So yeah, there's some really great examples from Maggie there as well. Supervision was touched on, which in the support list that we put up, and again we've given a link in the chat to go onto our Kaimahi Hauora page of our website. Supervision is one of the things that is mentioned there in addition to other forms of support. And it's interesting that one of the kaimahi that gave us some feedback at whakamanawa mentioned EAP programs. So isn't it interesting that for government agencies, EAP is something that is just part of contracts. In our NGO community sector, it's not. So whether that's something that needs to change might be a kōrero place to start. Neil, we'd love to hear from you. Thank you.
Kia ora. Kia ora, everybody. I might just turn myself up because I'm a bit low. We do have EAP in our contracts to make sure that everybody has access to that. But something that we've done in the last 12 months is we've instigated 1 day a quarter, which we call wellness leave. It can't be accrued, but we encourage people to attach it to a weekend or a long weekend so that they can actually have a break and go and pamper themselves and do something nice for themselves. And it's just a chance to say, go and do something for you, whatever that happens to be, by yourself, walk along the beach, go down the river, whatever. So that's been really successful.
Neil, are we able to ask where you're from?
Oh, sorry.
Okay.
I'm from Friendship House in Manukau.
Fantastic. I think another thing, thank you so much for the example, and we've certainly heard from some of our other members who have implemented 4-day weeks. And of course, one of the things that came about from hearing from them, and this may be true for friendship as well, Neil, is that there's a process that needs to be put in place. They're not things that necessarily can happen overnight. So these great ideas are also about a lot of work from a lot of people to bring that about, and the resourcing, as Maggie mentioned, whether it's about stand-up desks or whatever, finding the ways to get that done. Are there any other examples out there? Because one thing we're aware of too is that the size of the organisation sometimes predicts what resources are available, and the people resources too. So are there any other examples out there from either a larger organisation or a very small organisation where Kaimahi Hauora comes into play? Anita and Claire, can we say, Juanita. Can I hear from Juanita? And then Claire, I saw your hand up too.
Kia ora, Juanita, and this is Tiata. So we work in the social workers in schools space. Our Te Kupinga Hauora Ahuriri, which is based in Napier, our organisation runs a whole lot of services like Family Start, the youth navigators. We have a huge health team. We have housing navigators. We've got Piki Te Ora, who work in the suicide prevention space. We also have Paihiritia, who work in the prisons with our whānau, the whole whānau. So Tiata and I work in 3 schools here in Ahuriri, and we support everyone. Doesn't matter what it is. Just like today, we had a whānau come in, I had to help them out. So it's not just that we're in the schools, we're just doing everything. Since the cyclone, our well-being was normally, one of our spaces is just up the road is Tangaroa. So Tangaroa is our healing space. When the cyclone happened, we couldn't go to Tangaroa because it was paru and it wasn't safe. So we had to find ways of how do we heal ourselves, help ourselves, but to help us so that we can go and help the whānau that were struggling out there. So Manawa Ora, who are based in Pōneke down in Wellington, they do miri and rumi, and they came up. So they've been coming up just about nearly once a month, and they've been going to one of the local maraes that was affected, and they are giving free miri rumi sessions to whānau and to Kaimahi. And we're quite fortunate here that we've been able to have those free miri as well. So that has helped. They've also done a workshop with us to teach us about understanding miri and rumi and grounding ourselves. So we've been learning how to do that. Tiata and I also use, because we've got a creative background, so we use our arts. So Tiata does rāranga. I'm a ex-contemporary Māori art, I shouldn't say ex-contemporary. I'm a Māori contemporary artist. So if you know Sandy Adset and all of the top Māori artists in New Zealand, those were my mentors. So I also use that with the whānau. There are those schools, teaching them mahi toi. Tiata does the rāranga, which is another healing gift, which does help the whānau. Yeah, but in saying that, it's not just for the whānau, we help the staff. We also help the staff at the schools. Yeah, and that's what our mahi's been for the last 7 months. Yeah, it's been quite full on. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Juanita, and kia kōrero. Thank you both, Tiata and Juanita. It's great to see that that's reflected in an example, as again some of the the examples that we put up, one of them was a commitment to traditional hauora practices or mere, etc. They're not just the nice to haves, they're actually something that should be a practical tool as part of our ongoing, and that's what Kaimahi Hauora, we're saying, of course, should always be about as part of what we're doing all the time in our mahi and social services, not just as something we add on or take sick leave when we're sick. Actually having wellness days, like Neil's mentioned, is something that's built in as practice to keep us well so that we're not falling off the end when we actually get unwell. It's wonderful. Thank you. Claire, you had your hand up too, down from the South Island. Yay.
Am I the only? I'm sure I'm not the only South Islander. Kia ora koutou. So Otago Youth Wellness is where I'm based in. We've got about 25 staff, so we're a medium-sized place. What we've done is we've changed our hours. So we're working on a 40-hour week. We've changed that to 37.5, and I'll acknowledge what someone said before, that there is quite a bit of work that goes into achieving that. It took me 6 months to get it through the process, but what we've also done is we've increased leave availability as well. So after you've been with us for 2 years, you are eligible for 5 weeks leave, which makes quite a difference, I think, in this kind of mahi. And also for sick leave, we haven't actually said unlimited sick leave, but in effect, that's what we're achieving, so that if people are sick, they're taking the time to get well. I really love the idea of a wellness day. We have one of those days a year that is in honour of our founder. So at Christmas time, we finish early in honour of her. We give everyone a day. So that's as far as we've got on that one. But the other really lovely thing that we've been doing for a while now, since we came back from COVID really, is that we start each day with waiata and karakia, but the waiata has become a really highlight of the day because everyone gets some energy from singing. We're learning new ones all the time. We've got some staff who are very accomplished, and the rest of us are becoming more accomplished, and we actually sound, even though we say so ourselves, quite good now. So that seems to set the day off really nicely because people get that energy from sharing and singing. And yeah, so those are the sorts of things that we've done. And we've got a fairly flexible workplace. Right outside my door is a jigsaw puzzle that people just quietly work on when they're taking a break from their mahi, and other wee places that they can just take that time to chill when they've got something hard happening. So that's what we've been doing.
Thank you so much, Claire. And again, really practical examples too towards the end of your kōrero there, which I've seen in other workplaces where there's a dedicated space for people to go, and there's colouring books or puzzles, as you mentioned, Claire, or just play toys or things, that people can be in that space having connection time or having time out just to take a step out, not so outside the workplace, but inside the workplace, to still take a step out of the mahi just for a moment, perhaps. So really great practical examples. Maggie, you are keen today. Your hand is up again.
Sorry, I should just be quiet. It was just prompted by the question about how to do the lesser work hours a week. And I've been doing my management role for too long, many years, and I learned along the way that the sort of work we do, which is working with victims of sexual violence, so children, youth and adults, so quite hard stress kind of area. And so nobody's allowed to work full-time in the therapeutic work. So we employ people to work part-time so that they can have a foil and a buffer in other work. And that is the way in which we've sustained people and held people for quite long service, which has been really useful too, because it takes a long time to build up your kind of chops, I guess, in the work, and your skill set, your ability to sustain the work. So I don't want people staying for 5 minutes. I want people to stay for a good period of time, not for forever. But so how we've gone about that is that we advertise jobs sort of flexibly, but usually 1 day a week's a pain in the neck to weave people into a team, but sort of 3 is quite good, 3 to 4 is quite good, and then people often have a different thing to do on the other day, which is very important to their well-being. They might do perhaps a private practice or a different kind of job or just something completely different, or have time off. So, of course, that presumes people can get enough income to be able to sustain that, but it really hasn't proven to be such a problem, and it's just a mindset shift for people. Some people it's doing a 9-day fortnight. There's all different adaptations. I don't think you have to be rigid about, whether it's 4 days a week or whatever. And what it does require of us, that's extra. Of course, it takes, you've got many more bodies to manage. But that aside, the bodies are mostly there and quite focused and really on track. You don't have as much time of people mucking about because they're tired. And so what it requires is we have to have 2 staff meetings a week, which we have engineered. And so everybody who comes on has to be there on one of the days of the staff meeting. So they at least meet up with half of the team. So ideally, then we have whole team things sometimes too, but less often. But every week there's some connection, at least with the group. So I guess that's the adaptation, and it's slightly impractical at one level, but the practicalities have been that it really works to hold people well and to hold people in the work in a safe and healthy manner. I'll be quiet now.
Thank you, Maggie. When you speak, it is always very, very valuable to hear. So thank you for sharing that with all our kaimahi here today. And certainly I've heard an example of this from another large organisation that's one of our members in regards to involving the people in that process of getting to a 4-day week so that they can actually choose as part of that process, as long as there's those locked-in days where everyone can come together too. And other examples that we have, of course, is organisations that are very whānau-centric. So children do come into the workplace, the flexibility to work from home from the office, or with children at the front, or the whānau at the front. That's certainly something that SSPA is very big on. And so those are also examples of how that can be a workplace that caters to Kaimahi Hauora and puts it up front. Is there any other examples? I'm aware of time, and these are always so short, these Kōrero sessions, but we did want to give the opportunity to people for you to share within, amongst each other. Is there any other examples that we haven't heard?
Can I jump in very quickly? You just prompted something. We also very often have dogs around as well. Very good with children, dogs, but that it's amazing the beautiful feeling that creates as well. So there's another way.
Thank you, Claire. And I've seen mara, I've seen gardens, I've seen guitars that are on the wall. People can walk in from the community who are part of that organisation and just be in the space with others. So there's plenty of examples out there of practical opportunities. Oh, and we've read in the chat too, thanks Neil, that having birthday leave and things like that to honour special days for people. This is wonderful. Even just from a few examples, few organisations, we're getting a real wealth of examples out there. Neil?
I would just be really interested to hearing from any organisation who has moved to a 4-day week, how they achieve that, because that's the one thing that my team really want, is to go to a 4-day week, and I'd really like to be able to do that, but I'm not sure how that would work contractually, and how that would look with the board and those types of machinations.
Absolutely, Neil. And we can certainly help you, connect you with some as well, but there may be some on the call here today, on the Kōrero today, where you can link up with others. I'm aware that it is 1 o'clock. I do want to allow you guys to all go back to your business as usual. Is there any burning things that you'd like to share before we kind of round this up? And if you're able to stay for the next couple of minutes just so we can do that, that would be wonderful. If not, and you have to race off, we understand. We've got another 35.5-hour working week birthday leave wellbeing fund per year for all staff. Thanks, Wendy. It sounds like there is some really great things going on out there in your organisations that you're all able to share with each other. And of course, that's our role too, is that we want to be able to gather these up and share them on. And Fiona's going to talk a little bit just to that now before we close off. Thanks, Fiona.
That's all right, just a little bit. I just think this was really important. The conversation, guys, thank you for being here. We've gathered some resources and we will share these after the session. So on our Kaimahi Hauora campaign page, we have resources available to you if you're a leader or manager that places a practical focus on Kaimahi Hauora. We've got resources there for Kaimahi. Now, some of these resources actually were used, let me just find the right, they're drawn from our Kaimahi Hauora program that we ran last year. So we've also got a range of resources there you can check out, and we will share those as well for you. But and you can also check out more about the campaign, what you can do within your organisation, sharing our socials, our messages on your socials. And look, I think I'm just going to hand back now to Claire to wrap up, because I'm aware of the time and you all have busy afternoons ahead of you. Thank you.
Thanks, Fiona. And yeah, we have put that link in the chat, so please do go onto our website and have a look. It's got all the information that Fiona mentioned there. Just also wanting to chuck up a wee poll, which I'm going to launch now, because I would love to know from those of you who've come whether this is working for you so that we can continue to do them. And any ideas that you have for Kai and Kōrero, we'd also love to hear. And last Kai and Kōrero, we got some great ideas about the areas that you'd like to see us cover. So please let us know on that too. Has that poll come up for everyone? You all spotted that? Thank you so much. So again, thank you all for being here, feeding into what is a really important part of our mahi that we will continue to be championing. Is that how you say it? At SSPA. And I would just like to offer a karakia to take us back into the space of the rest of our day and out of the space of connection and sharing here in this moment. I'd also like to share something that I heard from a member recently about karakia, which I think is beautiful. Breaking down karakia, ka is to ignite the fire, ra is of the day, and kia is to bring into being. So if we think about that, when we offer karakia, either timatanga to start a space or whakamutunga to take us back into the wonderful work that we're all doing out there in our communities and our hapori and with our whānau, then it's a lovely place to kind of hold why we do karakia at the start and at the end of these sessions. So karakia tātou whakairia te tapu, kia wātia ai te ara, kia tūruki whakataha ai, kia tūruki whakataha ai. Haumie, huie, tai kie. See you next time for Kai and Kōrero. Ake te anō. Thank you, everyone. I'll be in touch, Neil. Ake te koroa. Thanks, Claire.